Hello, Durud and Shalom. Guys, surprise! I'm here with Goldie again. Hi, Goldie. Thank
Hi,
you for
Armin. How
coming
are
back.
you? Thank you for having me. I
Good, good.
appreciate it.
Guys, I'm trying to convince Goldie to come on our channel on a regular basis. So please help me convince her to do that because, like, I don't know, I'm trying to get her on our channel more often. Is that okay? Can you just come as often as you can if you have
I mean,
time?
I'll try, but only if you promise that you come to my channel that I'm going to be setting up in
Yes,
a little bit. And I can
yes,
see that it's
guys.
working because I'm live on X2 right now.
Yeah,
I've never been
live
live on
before.
X before.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
there's
Oh, by the way,
44 people are watching. Is that a
on
thing?
X,
Yeah.
yes, already.
Is that me or is that you? Like how many people
No,
are
that's
showing up
you.
on?
It's
Oh,
actually
that's
no,
me.
no, it's you. That's you.
Oh
Yeah, that's you.
wow.
You're
Okay, well,
seeing.
hi to the 44 how do I see who the 44 people are?
Well, I don't know. They have.
Oh, now it's
I don't think you.
68. Okay, hi everyone. So I'll say hi to everyone, all my followers.
Oh,
It's
look.
my first live on X, and actually
Yes.
Armin convinced me that I should maybe start doing more lives. So this is officially my first one. It's an honor to do it with
Yes.
Armin. If you're not following him, make sure you follow him as well. I don't know if your account is showing up, but what I'll do is
Oh, it's
um,
okay.
I'll put the
It's
hashtag
yeah.
to Armin's account below. He also runs Atheist Republic, a fantastic um, organization, and I'm looking forward to doing more collaborations with Armin, especially since I think we're aligned on a lot of things politically when it comes to Canada, to Israel, and of course to Iran. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. By the way, you can see. Do you see the comment section on your right? You can see the people from your ex who are commenting. Those are
Oh,
so yeah. So when you see the X symbol next to their comment, that means that they are the people from your X account talking.
oh, okay. I see my sister. Rose says hi. Okay, so my sister is watching for sure. Is it just my X account? So you're not connected to X right now?
I am, but I'm not as active. Like the comments are for my side is mostly on YouTube, right? And also you
Okay.
can see
So
the
all the
difference
people on
between
X.
whether
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So I see
they're your
Paymon and
people.
Noveen. I see Lillian, United. Oh, wow. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, Savok. Savok says, I'm only joining. Both of you must join my channel. Goldie is
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know about the
The-
comments. Wow.
yeah.
I'm
Wait,
actually
and
really excited.
this is good. This is guys. This is Goldie's first live stream. This is
It is.
exciting, and also we can highlight them. So, like for example, if I
Yeah. So how do
highlight
I?
Lillian, yeah, I don't know if you can. You're so I need to make you an admin so you could highlight them as well. But right now, I think I am the only one. Oh, can you highlight them? Can you click on them? Try clicking on them. I want to see if you can highlight them.
No. If I click on it,
Okay, only
nothing
I can.
happens.
Okay, okay. So right now I can highlight them. So for example, Lillian saying, "We love you, Goldie." So we'll set it
Aw,
up
that's
on
so
your
sweet.
own account at some point, so you could highlight, monitor, and highlight the comments yourself from here
Sounds
on
good.
your channel as well. Yeah. So, Goldie, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about King Reza Pahlavi. Some refer to him as Prince. I like to call him the King. Referring to
Mm.
King, we're speaking about King Reza Pahlavi and also his relationship with Israel. And I think given especially the comments and the comments we've seen coming from the Israeli government recently, but also I think more pertinent is Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech in the United Nations General Assembly yesterday was very big. And you know, as someone who's heavily involved in politics, I would say that one of my areas of expertise is deciphering political commentary and political speech because a lot of times politicians will say things and there's a double meaning to it, right? And that's because sometimes it's just maybe not pertinent to be as blunt. I mean, I wish we could be more blunt in politics, but I think when you are very blunt, that can be used to your disadvantage, as we have seen with me. but that's fine. I mean, if anything, that was probably a good thing what happened to me because it actually allowed me to free my voice and speak more bluntly.
What happened to you?
But
What happened to you?
oh, I was kicked out of caucus by Doug
Mm,
Ford because the National Council of Canadian Muslims accused me of Islamophobia because I was speaking to Tommy Robinson about Iran and the Iranian people's fight to overthrow the Islamic Republic. Um,
mm,
but again, I mean that's it's a fake allegation, it's a fake thing, and no Iranians believe that ever. We've been fighting a brutal Islamic dictatorship for 47 years. Um, what we say is the truth, and Islamophobia is just one of those baseless allegations that Islamists and jihadists use to try to silence our voice because they don't want people to know the truth about what it's like to live in a brutal Islamic dictatorship. But having said that, I want to go back to Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech, and at some point maybe we could decipher it and play it. But one thing that he said in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly was um, that he said, "Make Iran great again." And when he said, "Make Iran great again," I mean, to me and to millions of Iranians around the world, that was essentially code, right? It was code for not only do I stand with the Iranian people, but I stand with your king. I stand with the leader of the national uprising, and that is King Reza Pahlavi. So that Make Iran Great Again, it really resonated with Iranians, not just outside of the country, but inside of Iran as well. And I don't know about you, Armin, but um, Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech made me feel like I, as an Iranian fighting against the Islamic Republic, I have a voice at the United Nations.
mm.
And that came through Prime Minister Netanyahu.
That is so interesting that you say that because I just finished a live stream on my Persian channel to mostly an Iranian audience. I'm mostly from inside of Iran. And what we were discussing there is Netanyahu's speech made it so that we finally had some representation at the United Nations because Netanyahu was saying not only what the Israeli people wanted to hear at the United Nations, but also what the Iranian people wanted to hear at the United Nations. So, and especially the ending part, that was fantastic. We were going through what he was saying, and that was beautiful. And again, Reza Pahlavi, all of this happened because. Do you agree that all of this happened because of Prince Reza Pahlavi's visit to Israel? And the world realizing remembering the strong bond between the nation of Iran and the nation of Israel and the potential there. I think this all started because of his trip to Israel. To like, do you think that's the reason? Because I think that's what sparked it.
100%. Absolutely. I think
Right.
that his historic visit to Israel is what broke down that barrier and made it. He basically got rid of the taboo that we
Right.
cannot speak out in support of Israel. I mean, many of us internally and tacitly were already supporters of Israel. We had no enmity, no ill will towards Israel, but because of the Islamic Republic and their, attempted forced indoctrination on Iranians, trying to make us think that Israel is the little Satan and America is the great Satan. Many of us were afraid to speak out because we just didn't know how others felt. We all knew that it was unnatural, and thankfully that indoctrination it didn't work on Iranians, and that's because as Iranians we have a very long history of allyship and friendship and a connection with our Jewish cousins, right? I mean, it goes back to the time of Cyrus the Great. And that allyship is something that was very prominent and celebrated under the Pahlavi dynasty. So when Reza Shah the Great became the king of Iran, I believe it was 1921 or 1922, he basically got rid of anti-Semitism. He normalized relationships, got rid of anti-Semitism within Iran, got rid of the ghettos, basically normalized equality of all religions, including Jews, Iranian Jews. And then when Israel was became an official state, Shahanshah Aryamer he was actually the second to formally recognize Israel as a country. And then since then, there was always a very strong relationship, allyship, and friendship between Israel and Iran, of course, up until 1979 when the Islamic Republic took over. And one of the three main pillars of the Islamic Republic is the whole Palestinian cause, right? They actually came to
Right.
power based on that, something that was supported by the Islamists and the communists as well. And we see that today. But I would say that even though the Islamic Republic tried to indoctrinate us into thinking that we hate Israel and we're enemies with Israel, it never really set in. Iranians never became anti-Semitic in that sense because it's just not part of our cultural DNA and heritage, right? And any Iranian who looks into our history realizes no, there's always been that allyship and friendship. And so when King Reza Pahlavi visited Israel, I believe it was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, not only did he break the taboo, but it's almost like we collectively as a nation, it's like we just sighed. It was like a big sigh of relief where we were like, okay, we can now speak about Israel. We can now let the world know that, we do appreciate Israel. We have no enmity with Israel. Um, and that's because of that really big step that our leader took. He made it okay for us to um, not be afraid to say what we think about Israel, even though doing so is a crime punishable by death. And even to this day, there are Iranians
Yeah.
inside of occupied Iran who are being murdered by the Islamic Republic just for simply saying that they support Israel.
Yeah, actually, those are some of the remaining red lines, because so many of the other red lines have been crossed so much by the Iranian people that they have been um, somewhat normalized, not completely. Like for example, in many places in Iran, you don't get into trouble much anymore because for not wearing hijab, not because the Islamic Republic doesn't want to enforce it, but because the number of people removing their hijab is so much that is unenforceable. And even being anti-Islamic is not as dangerous as before. Still dangerous, but not as dangerous as before,
I mean, I
given
would
how
say
much.
it depends on the area though, Armin, right? Right. If you're
Yes.
looking at
Yeah.
certain parts of Tehran where it's really rich and people can bribe the morality police,
Right.
sure, it's not as dangerous. But everywhere else in Iran, it's still a very big
But
risk, right?
yeah, but relative to before, it's less of a risk, and because the Islamic Republic is now focusing on two major red lines, because anti-Islamic views in Iran is so widespread that the Islamic Republic is just a safety in numbers. It's just so much. And so the Islamic Republic doesn't have the power to go after it as much as before. I'm not saying it's not risky. I'm just saying relative to before, it's less risky because it's just so common to be anti-Islamic in Iran. But the two things that the Islamic Republic is focusing on when it comes to enforcing their brutality against the Iranian people is supporting Israel and supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi. Those are the new major red lines. And Goldie, I don't know if you would believe me, but let me tell you, the Islamic Republic is now even sponsoring and supporting anti-Islamic content in some areas. Did you know that?
No, whereabouts?
No, on social media, the Islamic Republic itself is having people with anti-Islamic content gathering followers, because that's one of the fastest way to grow a following on social media. So in
Yeah.
the right moment, they could come and attack Israel and attack Prince Reza Pahlavi.
That's
So
definitely
that,
so that's part of the whole
yeah,
reformist narrative. And we've spoken about, I mean, I've spoken about the reformist narrative and the reformist tactics quite a bit. I don't know if you have, but I mean, this is what the reformists
yeah,
do, right? They basically try to identify an area of protest that they could potentially infiltrate, and then, like you said, gather enough followers, and that's how they divert the
right,
narrative away from the actual protests, right? So in this case,
right,
um, that is actually something that I think we should definitely be aware of because um, no Iranian, like anti-Semitism, it just does not exist for like a true Iranian. It's not within our culture, right? Because again, when you look at the history of Iranians and Jews going back to Cyrus the Great, there was no anti-Semitism there. And any Iranian who truly believes in their own history understands that. Um, but what the Islamic Republic does is they will infiltrate these spaces and, like you said, gather followers who will then build a big following and they will fill up that space. And once they have enough followers, all of a sudden they're going to do like a 180-degree shift and then they're going to change the narrative completely in order to try and control it.
Right.
So if this is what they're doing, I think this is something that's quite scary. And I think we need to be made well aware of it. But, for me, my red line really, like two red lines for me, anti-Semitism and attacking King Reza Pahlavi. Any person well, first of all, King Reza Pahlavi is the first 100%, but anti-Semitism is the second one for sure. And the reason they go hand in hand is because one of the things that King Reza Pahlavi has been working on is normalizing that relationship between Iran and Israel, not just with his trip to Iran a few years ago, but even more recently, he actually had a delegation, his hand-picked delegation, visit Israel, meet with the president, meet with Gila Gamliel, meet with high-level officials to talk about the Cyrus Accords and to talk about the day after the fall of the Islamic Republic and what that's going to look like, not just for Iran, but for Israel. And normalizing that relationship with Israel is a big part of the plan when it comes to transitioning Iran from an Islamic dictatorship into a functioning secular society.
Right. Also, do you think that? Don't you think that the Islamic Republic is showing us what its weaknesses are, given that it's given up on enforcing so many of the things that it used to be sensitive about, and it's basically now laser focused on trying to fight Pahlavi and Israel? That's basically them admitting that Pahlavi and Israel is their weakness because they're afraid of what could cause the most damage to the Islamic Republic. So what I'm suggesting is that given that these are the main red lines right now, these must also be the greatest weakness of the Islamic Republic, which means this is the way to fight the Islamic Republic. Supporting Pahlavi, supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi, or as you say, King Reza Pahlavi. I say Prince Reza Pahlavi because he himself doesn't consider himself a king yet, but we could argue about that, right? But supporting Prince Reza Pahlavi and supporting Israel is the best way to fight the Islamic Republic, and they're showing us that the Islamic Republic is showing us that by being afraid of them.
100%, 100%. I guarantee. I mean, I think it was even just a couple of weeks ago where Khamenei, the supreme dictator of the Islamic Republic, in one of his speeches, he was actually referring to King Reza Pahlavi. He didn't refer to him by name, but he said, that man and his followers and stuff. So the fact that the supreme dictator of the Islamic Republic, a man who, well, not, I don't consider him a man. He's, garbage to me, but this vile individual who claims that he's so strong and powerful and has a support of the Shia Muslim Ummah or whatever garbage nonsense. The fact that he is so terrified of King Reza Pahlavi that he actually refers to him not by name but refers to him in his speeches, it lets me know how big of a threat not just King Reza Pahlavi is, but how weak the Islamic Republic is. Because if there was no threat, if there was no real danger, why would you bring him up? Why would you even discuss him, right? But the fact that the Islamic Republic is talking about the King of Iran, that's a very strong signal to me that the Islamic Republic is much weaker than they let on at this point, and that they're scared, they're terrified.
Can I show you an attack on Prince Reza Pahlavi, and you could tell me how you would respond to it? Like, is that okay? Let's do that.
Sure.
What do you think? Okay, so this person posted saying, so this is, guys, for people who don't know, this is Prince Reza Pahlavi. And the caption says, the eldest son of Iran's last Shah, Reza Pahlavi, defends Israeli attacks on his own country on the BBC. So let's listen and you let me know what you think about this.
Are you actually saying then that Israel bombing your country, civilians in Iran being killed, is a positive thing?
I'm not saying that the targeting was meant to hurt the Iranian people. The targeting was meant to basically neutralize the regime threat. Clearly, I don't think that it was an intention of the Israeli government to attack Iranian civilians.
Are you actually?
So what do you so I don't know why they're showing us this as if he said anything wrong here, but what do you say? How would you respond to this?
So this is the challenge when you have people who can't even point out Iran on a map or don't know what the capital of the country is, providing, or giving their opinion on what they think is happening. The reality is that Iran is under an occupation by the Islamic Republic. That's why I refer to it as occupied Iran. I refer to it as the Islamic Republic in Iran, right? Because it's not the Islamic Republic of Iran. There's nothing Iranian about them. So, Islamic Republic in Iran, occupied Iran. And the way that I see it is our country is currently in stage 4 cancer. The Islamic Republic is a cancer that has taken over the country. And how do you defeat stage 4 cancer? You have to have surgery, you have to have an operation, you have to go in and you have to cut it out and destroy it. Because if you don't, that cancer is going to consume you and it's going to end your life. That's really what's happening to Iran right now. After 47 years, we have, power shortages. We have a lack of water. The economy is in shambles. People, 70% of people below the poverty line, drugs, crime, rampant, right? Like the country is really on its last legs right now. It is dying. And what Israel did is they went in and they made it very clear that we have no enmity with the Iranian people. We are not here to go to war with the Iranian people. Our fight is with the Islamic Republic. By the way, this is a war that the Islamic Republic started, right? So anyone who says that Israel started this is 100% wrong. They have no idea what they're talking about. The Islamic Republic waged war against Israel back in 1979 when they took our country hostage and began this whole fake Palestinian cause, jihad, garbage nonsense. So this war has been going on for 47 years, and October 7, that genocidal massacre against the Jewish people, happened because of the funding and the training and the support of the terrorist Islamic Republic. So Israel retaliating, they have every right to retaliate. Now, do any of us want violence? No. Do any of us want to see a single innocent Iranian civilian hurt? Absolutely not. But the reality is, this is a war that was started by the Islamic Republic. They are the ones who are putting the lives of Iranians at risk, and every single innocent life lost in Iran has been at the hands of the Islamic Republic. And by the way, the Islamic Republic itself has murdered more Iranians in the last year than Israel did in the 12-day war, right? And Israel made it very, not only that, the IDF was very clear in providing information to Iranians to leave and evacuate certain places, and Iranians did. They evacuated those places despite the best efforts of the Islamic Republic to confuse Iranians and convince them to stay. The Islamic Republic would shut down the internet to prevent Iranians from leaving. And but Israel made it very clear, and they did their best, and thankfully there were very, very little civilians' lives lost. But the king is absolutely correct in saying that this war is not between Iran and Israel. This is Israel's retaliation to the Islamic Republic, starting a war against them, a war that we Iranians don't want. Israel has every right to defend itself, and I lay blame. All of this blame goes to Khamenei, and that's exactly what King Reza Pahlavi himself has said as well. I think the people who attack King Reza Pahlavi, they either have no knowledge of the situation. They're people who think that Iran and the Islamic Republic are the same thing, or they're just, looking for any excuse to attack Israel.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Prince Reza Pahlavi was just stating the obvious, that attacking the Islamic Republic is not attacking the people, and that Israel was not targeting the people. And it's interesting that they post that around to try to attack him, but that actually works in our benefit because they're showing Prince Reza Pahlavi defending Israel, which is exactly what we need to show the world that he's the right choice for Iran because he's defending Israel. So in Iran, with the Pahlavis back in power, is an Iran that is not going to be anti-Israeli because look, even right now they're defending. Even now, Prince Reza Pahlavi is defending Israel. And yeah, this is the every single innocent person that dies in Iran. The we should be pointing at Khamenei for bringing this war. I mean, what should Israel be doing? The Islamic Republic from day one waged war against people. People say Israel started a war against Israel. What the hell? What the fuck are you talking about? The Islamic Republic started a war against Israel on day one. They promised that they're going to annihilate Israel, and they have been doing everything in their power to one day annihilate Israel. Of course, at some point, Israel would have to take action, and when they did take action in Iran against Islamic Republic, the number of civilians who died, the civilian to combatant ratio is actually a record low in the world. So I don't know if you know, but the number of people who died in the 12-day war in Iran were 1,000 people, and according to the Islamic Republic's own report, 280 of them were civilians. So 280 civilians out of 1,000 people who died, that's basically a record low civilian casualty relative to the combatants. Those are not numbers that you reach accidentally. Those are numbers that you reach only if your military is trying everything in their power to try to reduce civilian casualties, and it shows. The numbers shows that they were doing that. By the way, another demonstration of how amazing Reza Pahlavi and his teams are. So Reza Pahlavi's team is called Nufti, so NUFDI, right? And they just recently released a plan called the Iran Prosperity Project. And part of the Iran Prosperity Project is this emergency phase booklet for what should they do on the days immediately after the Islamic Republic falls, right? So this is 169 pages. If you go to page 48, yes, 48, this is under the foreign policy area. And then if you go to page 49, if you search for Israel, let me see on page 49. Yes, here it is. It says, so look at this. Recognition and normalization with Israel. Let me actually zoom in here. So, guys, this is why I want Israelis and allies of Israel to recognize why support for Prince Reza Pahlavi is also support for supporting Israel, because you're supporting the people who want to bring normalization of ties with Israel back to Iran. So, this is the plan of Prince Reza Pahlavi's team. The interim government will officially recognize the state of Israel and initiate normalization efforts without preconditions, marking a historic shift away from ideological hostility. And then if you go lower, you can see they have a timetable, and it's very interesting because from all the foreign policy, this is the first 100 days. And you can see it has week 1, month 2 and 3, and then end of month 3. But you can see how big of a priority recognition of Israel is in Prince Reza Pahlavi's team's plan, because recognize Israel is on week 1. It's not in month 1. Like, think about this. The country, the regime has collapsed, and there are so many things that are a priority. But think about how big of a deal this is for Prince Reza Pahlavi's team, that on week 1, recognizing Israel is something that they want to include in their plan. I mean, that shows how important that is for them. Like, that, do you agree?
Absolutely,
I think this is
100%. No, and I'm glad that this is in there. I'm glad that this is a part of the plan, especially putting it right up front and not being afraid to be direct, right? Because with sort of the rise of growing rise of anti-Semitism around the world, and not just anti-Semitism, but this anti-Israel ideology that we're seeing in countries like Canada and the UK and France and Australia or other places, right? I mean, these leftist globalist politicians who are um, uh, condemning Israel for whatever reason because they want the Muslim vote or whatever it is. I'm very glad that King Reza Pahlavi and his team are taking a very strong and direct stance and saying this is what we believe in and this is how we're going to move forward and we are going
Mm.
to make sure that we go back to recognizing Israel. The reality is that under the Pahlavi dynasty, Iran was the greatest ally of the United States and Israel in the Middle East.
Mm.
We have a history of that allyship, and that's something that a lot of people either don't realize or those who know but are against us will try to erase or hide that. But anyone who goes and looks at the history can see it. And so I think it's really important for us to get back to that because that was an Iran that worked. That was an Iran that was modernized, that was Western, that was going towards secularism. I think ultimately, what happened is, the leftists and the communists, along with the globalists and, the Islamists took over. And, it's really interesting because the same countries that are now condemning Israel and, unilaterally recognizing, the state of Palestine are the same ones who supported the Islamic Republic and helped to
Right.
overthrow the king and brought in Khomeini at the time, right? I mean, Khomeini, a brutal, savage Islamic dictator, the guy who like ran the show for the first while, he actually had refuge in France, was living under French protection, French taxpayer dollars, and they were calling him like the Iranian Gandhi. Can you imagine that? This like brutal,
Yeah.
savage, inbred person. So, um, I mean, I feel like what's happening right now in the Middle East is that we are moving towards um, peace and democracy and normalizing that relationship with Israel. And, all of these like jihadi radicals and terrorists are now immigrating to Western countries. And to me, right now, I feel like Canada is more Islamic than Iran because
Oh, for sure.
Iranians have overwhelmingly rejected Islam in the political domain. I mean, what you want to
Mm.
practice, believe in private, that's your choice, but it's like keep it out of the public, right? So while Iran right now is moving towards a secularization, Canada is becoming more and more Islamic. It's wild. It's insane.
Yeah, some people on our Persian channel and me, like we sometimes talk like, what if one day, Europe becomes so Islamic and Canada becomes so Islamic, and imagine if Iran goes free, and because we're so anti-Islamic and we want to get rid of all this garbage from our country, both leftist garbage and Islamic garbage, that we 100 years from now we will have people trying to they're applying for visas to Iran because Iran is prospering and Europe is going down. I don't know, like but some people think about that. Like, I mean,
I
that's
mean,
what Islam. Yeah,
with the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised. With the way things are going, I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised because these like radicals are coming into Canada under the guise of like multiculturalism and diversity. Meanwhile, us as
right.
Iranians, like we've already experienced this. Maybe not you and me because we were born after the Islamic Republic, but we've seen the videos, we've seen we've read the history books, and there are still people alive, who have lived through that, and so what we're seeing right now in Canada reminds me very much of like Iran in the early 1970s, this slow creep towards more radicalism, more
Right.
communism, more Islamism. We're seeing it, I think. We're seeing it. And I think anti Semitism is any country that allows anti-Semitism to grow, I think is heading towards a very dangerous fate because that anti-Semitism gives rise to normalizing what's happening right now. And now you see these leftist globalist politicians who are not only unilaterally recognizing a state of Palestine, but in return you have Hamas thanking the Prime Minister of Canada. And basically Hamas is saying this is the fruit of our labor of October 7th. So it's like we're
Oh,
normalizing jihadi terrorism in Canada.
okay, I agree with almost everything you're saying. I just don't maybe agree with the term globalist because I think people misuse that word. What do you mean by globalist? Because if globalist means people who don't respect nation states and their independence and people's individual and patriotic viewpoints and people's right to self-determination, and then we have international institutions making policies and decisions for politicians who haven't been elected by local people themselves, making decisions for them. If that's what you mean by globalist, then yeah, I'm against that. Okay, but
Yeah,
if but
that's what I
globalist,
mean. That's what I mean. I mean,
okay,
we're
okay,
not talking
but
about like international trade. We're not talking
trade,
about
okay,
like, sharing culture, things like that. No, no, no. I'm speaking about like the open borders policy, the whole concept of nationalism, right? Like Trudeau said, Canada is a post-nationalist state. What does that mean? Why
right,
can we not be
yeah,
proud to like be Canadian, for example? And
because
part of the I just want to
yeah,
add this, like part of our the Iranian national revolution is it's very nationalistic, it's very patriotic. We are reclaiming our identity as Iranians, and I think that's very, very important, and that's something that the Islamic Republic is very, very much afraid of, because when
right,
the Islamic Republic came to power, one of the first things that Khomeini said, Khabar Margesh, Khomeini said that I know he's already dead, but
yeah,
that's what I say instead of swearing. He said, "We don't need patriots. We need Muslims. We want to create an
right,
ummah." Right. So this whole notion of getting rid of patriotism, that's something that's very sensitive to us Iranians, because for 47 years, the Islamic Republic has tried to erase our cultural identity as Iranians, because we as Iranians, we're a very diverse group of people. We're religiously diverse, we're ethnically diverse, we're politically diverse, we're linguistically diverse. But the one thing that unites us is our Iranian identity and our love for our country. And that has
yeah.
been such a defining feature of Iranianism.
Right. So the term globalist is based on who's using it and what their intentions are, is referring to three different things, and that's why I'm kind of want to be careful about it. So if you're talking about anti-nationalism, anti-patriotism, maybe anti-border like mentality, okay, so that's something that needs to be called out, and I'm against it as well. But globalist, one thing we need to be careful. So many anti-Semites use the word globalist as a way to refer to a Jewish control of the world that they need fighting against. I know. By the way, Goldie, I know that you're not using it. Obviously, you're very anti-Semitic. So obviously, you don't mean it. I mean it that way. I'm just saying
Yeah,
we
I
have to
don't
be
buy.
careful
I
because
mean,
it's some.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
anyone who thinks of like those global conspiracy theories, I think is a nut job, and I
Yes.
don't even give the time of day
Right.
to them. Like they're just, to me, like they're non-existent. I mean, you might as well be a flat earther at that point. And there is
Yes.
there is like unfortunately those conspiracy theories that I have zero tolerance for, and I don't think they have any place in um like civilized society.
Right. Yeah, and the third meaning of globalist is something that I think both me and you celebrate, which is more trade, more global cooperation, more like so yeah, more international cooperation in a way that doesn't violate um, the citizens of a country having their own representatives and making their own decisions. Right, that's a type of we will support it. But going back to your point, um, like it reminds me of this point that what you said reminds me of this point that the Iranian people seem to be in a very good position to try to warn the entire world about what's about to come if they're not careful, because we paid the heaviest price. We had a country that was going in the right direction in every way when it came, like when we were during the Qajar dynasty, before the Pahlavi dynasty, Iran was almost over. It was almost the end of Iran, and Reza Shah and Muhammad Reza Shah, the two kings of the Pahlavi dynasty, not only saved Iran from an absolute collapse, but it was almost like it was like a miracle, because Iran became the economy was growing on a in a way that nobody could have imagined. It was the education, in the modernization, technology, education and healthcare, everything, culture, women's rights, our standing in the world, the power, the authority of the Iranian passport, everything was growing on. It was like it was like a miracle, and we were actually past. Even though we started with the Pahlavi dynasty on the edge of collapse, by the second king of Pahlavi, we're actually passing so many European countries when it came to so many different metrics, and so Iran was on a path to become a superpower. Like I saw so many reports by economists that don't have any skin in the game that that show that if the Islamic Republic, if the Islamic Revolution didn't happen in 1979, the size of the economy of Iran today would have been at the size of Germany today, which is like this is they call it the greatest lost opportunity in history. So all of that happened to us because of Islam and the unity between Islam and leftism. And no, back in 1978, nobody would have predicted that this could happen to Iran. It was unimaginable. So if you're in UK right now, and if you're in Canada right now, or if you're in France right now, and you're thinking that such a thing could never in a million years happen to your country, just please remember that this is exactly what people in Iran would have said about their country, given how well everything was going back in 1978. So I think because we Iranians lost an entire country to the unity of left and Islam, I think the Western world should listen to us Iranians a little bit more. Would you agree with that?
100%, Armin. And, I think part of it as well is that when all of this was happening back in the 1970s, a lot of people think that this was the majority of Iranians who wanted a revolution. The fact is that I would say like 80%, it was 80% of Iranians took, no participation and just kind of sat back. And estimates show that the actual number of people involved in overthrowing the Islamic Republic were somewhere between, I think it was somewhere between like 6 to 10%.
Oh, really?
I don't even, yeah, like
Awesome.
I don't even know if it was 10%. I think it was somewhere between like 6 to 8%. I think they're different estimates, but let's just be a bit more generous here and say 6 to 10%. So it was 10% of the population who wanted a revolution. By the way, that 6 to 10% was also supported by the Palestinians. Yasser Arafat and his ilk. They were supported by like the like what would then become Hezbollah, like Nasrallah and like those like Shia radicals. There was a lot of Pakistanis or a lot of Iraqis from Najaf and other places as well. Half the people that were out on the street calling for revolution weren't even Iranian. They were Arab or they were Pakistani or Afghani or Iraqi or whatever, Palestinian. And then there was also about 10% who were, of course, actively fighting against the revolutionaries to prevent the Islamic Republic from being overthrown. But there was a good 80%, 80 to 85% of people, I would say, who did not participate at all. They were people who were very happy with the way the system was, but they're the ones who probably thought that the revolutionaries aren't going to go anywhere, and it's crazy to think that they're going to overthrow the king, right? And
Mm.
what I truly believe, it was their inaction and their inability to participate and speak out and say, no, we don't want a revolution. We are happy. I think it was that that eventually made the situation come about. It was the silent majority, and then what happened is they woke up one day. All of a sudden, they woke up and they realized, oh my gosh, the king is gone. The Islamic Republic is taken over. The communists and Islamists are running the country. People are running around the street, driving around with the guns. They've taken control of the military, and that's it. That was it. And then that's when the demonstrations and protests started. And at that
Mm.
point, the women started. I actually saw a video today of women in March of 1979. If you like, I can
Yep.
find it. I'll send you
Women's
the
March.
link. Yeah, there was a women's
No,
march.
it's
I saw it on Instagram. It was a women's march in March of 1979. So literally like 1 month after the Islamic Republic took over, where the women were out demonstrating and saying, "We don't want mandatory hijab. We don't want you to force us or our daughters to wear the hijab." But at that point, it was already too late because they were demonstrating against a brutal Islamic dictatorship that had already taken over. They'd taken control of the military. They'd taken control of the finances, the money, the weapons, everything, government. And so you go out in the street and demonstrate, but it's too late. They should have spoken up before the Islamic Republic took over, before the king left the country, but they didn't. And once you start demonstrating, it's already too late at that point because you're not demonstrating in a democracy. You're in a dictatorship. And what did the Islamic Republic do? They shot them. They expelled them from universities. They froze their bank accounts, and they basically subdued the population. And I think that's one of the
yeah,
reasons why those of us who are now outside of Iran, for you and I, when we see what's happening, we are speaking up because we know we have learned from our own mistake that we need to speak up now because if we wait until after they take over, it's too late. And then you're going to be stuck. And for us Iranians, it's now been almost 50 years that we've been stuck trying to rectify the mistake of 1979.
yeah. Look at this is the images of the women's. So this is basically in the same year that the Islamic Revolution. A lot of people don't know this. We didn't know this in Iran. And I only learned about this after I left Iran. So in 1979, Iranian women protested mandatory veiling against, this was right after a lot of people think that Iranian people only rose up recently against the Islamic Republic, but this shows that it started in month one. The Iranian women were rising up against the Islamic Republic on month. And actually, let me show you the picture. Hold on. Look at the woman here. Look at this image. Isn't this magnificent? Look at this.
Yeah. But you know what? It
It's
also frustrates me
absolutely
when you have the Islamists and people who support the Islamic Republic, and also like ignorant white people in the West, usually the academics. They're like, "Oh, the hijab is their culture. This is what they want. They wanted this."
right.
And I'm like, "No. Here's the proof. Literally, thousands and thousands, if not millions, of Iranian women in 1979 who are out there in the street. I'm like pointing at the picture here. Who are out in the street and they're chanting, 'We don't want mandatory hijab,' and yet." The communists and the Islamists and the anti-imperialists have been forcing this different narrative, not just down our throats, but down the throats of non-Iranians, and that's one of the reasons that the Islamic Republic has survived so long because of this disinformation campaign, where they've tried to prevent the world from knowing the truth about what's happening in Iran. And that's why I've called it an occupation, because it is one of the longest occupations in the world.
To be fair, they're actually very good at spreading misinformation, because I don't know how much support the Islamic Revolution had uh, before, like at 1979, but the Islamic Republic was successful enough to be able to spread so much propaganda against the Shah to get a lot of support. I mean, in the early years of the revolution, like I do think that, I mean, even during the revolution, they burned a movie theater with a whole
Cinema
bunch of
Rex.
people. Yes, with a whole bunch
Yeah, it
of
was
people
Cinema Rex in
inside.
Abadan. Yeah.
Yeah, and they made people believe that the mullahs actually burned people alive in a movie theater to blame the Shah for it, which is absolutely insane. Because the Iranian people didn't know Muhammad Reza Shah back then, because Muhammad Reza Shah was very, very kind. Like he was absolutely obsessed with the happiness of Iranian people. And he was a man, like a lot of Iranians didn't know until recently, that he forgave the man that shot him. There was like somebody shot him trying to kill him, but he didn't, like a failed assassination attempt. And then he told the man that he freed him. He freed the man that shot him, which is like, and also another thing that he did, when the revolution against him picked up some momentum, many people within his army told him that they could actually stop the revolution if he just gives the order for them to shoot at people. And he said that I don't want to stay in power if the cost of that is the blood of the Iranian people. So he just left. But so many of his commanders were telling him that they could easily stop this revolution if he just orders them to shoot at people. And he said but he left. So like they're accusing such a man of just burning down a movie theater. And it's insane that the mullahs did this to the Iranian people just so that they could make him look bad. By the way, there were so many stories about Mohammad Reza Shah that all of them were proven to be false. For example, mass torture in prison, pulling nails. There are even some stories about using bears in prison. And I don't know if you've heard the crazy story of, I don't know if I should say this, tying one of the people to this.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the stories that people said that torture methods during Mohammad Reza Shah was that they would tie you to a ceiling fan, so you would be spinning around the room, and they would have Savak agents, and they would be raping you as you go by, which I don't know how the mechanics of that works, but I don't think that's even physically possible. But those were the stories that they were making up. I don't know what the hell.
But this goes to the absolute depravity of these Islamists, right? Like the stories that they are making up, only someone who is an absolute vile human being could come up with. And we know that these people and their ideology is absolutely filthy and disgusting, because Khomeini wrote that like green book or whatever, right? Like he literally wrote in his like disgusting book that, like, you know, if there's an, you know, one example is like if there's an earthquake and a man, you know, is on the, you know, one floor, and then during an earthquake the floor breaks and he falls down to the next floor, and if he accidentally penetrates
on his aunt,
if
there's an earthquake and you fall from the rooftop and your aunt is on the ground and you fall on her and you impregnate her, what's the Islamic command for that baby? I don't know.
It's halal.
Like, yes.
It's halal. It's okay. So
it's
he
like,
literally
it's allowed.
So this is the leader of the Islamic Republic, this guy who is so vile and filthy that he comes up with this sort of scenario. These are the people who were making up those stories about the Shah, right? Like these are the people who came up with these disgusting stories and rumors, because only they are that sick enough, that mentally depraved enough to come up with something like that. And I mean, yes, it sounds ridiculous, but look at the level of sexual abuse and sexual violence right now within the Islamic Republic, right? I mean, for 47 years, they have used sexual violence against Iranian men, women, and children. They will, they rape men to get confessions out of them. You know, and like, you know, one thing they do is like for women, before they execute women, they will rape them first. And they rape them because in their vile, depraved belief and ideology system, they think that virgins go to heaven. So in order to prevent them from going to heaven before they execute these young girls or, you know, any woman, they will rape her first to make sure that her soul goes to hell. I mean, this is a level of depravity that we're dealing with. And these are the people who were making up excuses about our king back in the 1970s. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, the leftists and the communists, or I mean, screw the communists, but the progressives and the leftists believed them. And I truly believe that they believed them. And this goes back to Jimmy Carter wanting to control oil. So they thought that, you know, okay, well, this is a good opportunity for us to support this revolution, because the Islamists coming in probably thought they were uneducated or whatever the case might be. And, you know, Jimmy Carter probably thought, oh, we're gonna let them come in because these are people we can control because they're uneducated savages. But, you know, we all know what happened once the Islamists came to power in the 1970s. 79.
So yeah, with Carter, I think it was like him and his administration are two different things. So I think Carter naively thought that these are actually on Khomeini was on the right side of history, and he used to be obsessed with United States being less involved in the world and letting countries I think Carter genuinely believed like Khomeini was like a Gandhi, because that was his whole obsession with regards to United States being less involved. I think when it comes to controlling Iran's oil, it was more of the people around him that saw this as an opportunity, because Mohammad Reza Shah was standing up a little bit to the United States regarding the oil prices. So they thought that maybe the mullahs would be better. So, but I don't know if Carter himself, that was his motivation. I think Carter was just a naive person that just believed that he was doing the right thing, but he was an
I just hope
idiot.
he's burning in hell.
Well, I'm an atheist, so I don't think there's hell. I don't know. Okay. Honestly, I don't wish, even if I was religious, I wouldn't wish hell upon. I don't know. I might be too, I don't know. Maybe I am too soft, but I honestly don't even wish hell upon the worst of people. I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm too
think that's the
soft,
difference between
but
you and me, because I don't wish it on a lot of
yeah,
people, but there's certain people that I wish it on. Carter
right,
is one of them. I only wish that he had lived long enough to see us free Iran and undo the mistake that he made, because
right,
he has the blood of millions of innocent people on his hands.
right. I do need to. I don't know if you know this, but some of the enemies of Prince Reza Pahlavi these days are actually monarchists, but they're a minority of monarchists who are in Iran. So Prince Reza Pahlavi's support. So I need to tell people about this, because now some of these monarchists are going around on international. So we used to have to worry about agents of the Islamic Republic, like Nayak, and leftists spreading misinformation about the Iranian people and the Islamic Republic. But the thing is, now a lot of our allies know them. A lot of our allies know that they shouldn't be listening to the reformists. They shouldn't be listening to the anti-imperialist leftists. They shouldn't be listening to Nayak. They know that, okay? But the problem is, right now there are some people who can be more easily be mistaken with allies, because they are monarchists and they are for Pahlavi, and they are saying King Reza Pahlavi, and they have crown emojis on their profile pictures, and they have the pictures of Muhammad Reza Shah and Reza Shah on their profile pictures on Twitter. But they are taking positions against Reza Pahlavi's team. So they say they support Reza Pahlavi, but they're taking positions against all the policies of Reza Pahlavi, Prince Reza Pahlavi, and his team. I don't know if you're aware of this, because this is and they're going around and publishing articles against Reza Pahlavi's team. And I just need people to be aware of that, because they're spreading their poison and they're betraying him, even though they keep acting like they're supporting him. And this is a minority of monarchists in Iran, so I don't want to exaggerate how big of a deal this is. But it's important for people to know about this, because they look at this. They actually went and published an article in Jerusalem Post. And look at this. It says Iranian opposition's emergency booklet needs constitutional integrity. And they go in and they introduce themselves as constitutional monarchists, and then they go and try to provide evidence for why Reza Pahlavi, this team, and they don't call them Reza Pahlavi's team, even though Reza Pahlavi himself refers to them as my team, as my plan. But they keep referring to them as if they're something separate from Reza Pahlavi, and they attack the Nufti team, and they suggest two things. I'm not going to read the entire article for you. I did that on my Persian channel, but they are suggesting two things. Firstly, before I tell you what they're suggesting in this article and other and this is really bad, because it's on Jerusalem Post, and they published this exactly when Reza Pahlavi's team, the Nufti team, was in Israel. So they were trying to do the massive damage to Reza Pahlavi's team on a publication that is very important in Israel, which is Jerusalem Post, at a very key moment. So I don't know. Have you heard about these people, Goldie? Before I tell you what they said in this article,
So
because this is
not
yeah.
these two people in particular, but I have seen, yes, I've seen it. Many people who claim that they support King Reza Pahlavi, who have come out attacking his team and his policies. I have seen that, yeah.
All right. So let me tell you what they said in this article. The two main claims that they have is, first of all, that some of the people on this team have said something against Israel, like they condemn Israel, they call what they're doing in Gaza, and they found one person. Actually, they're making three claims that's posted something against Israel's actions in Gaza, right? And they use that one post to try to paint a picture for the entire team being anti-Israeli, which is absolutely insane. Because you could see the booklet was very emphasize how important it is to recognize Israel and normalize relationship with Israel. And the vast majority of the people on the team are very pro-Israeli. One person there had one view against Israel's actions in Gaza. That doesn't mean the entire team is anti-Israeli. But they make it seem like that's the entire team, even though it was one person. And again, I don't think so that one thing, right? I mean, I showed you the booklet. The booklet is obsessed in recognizing Israel and having normalized ties with Israel, right? The other claim that they make is that some of the people on Reza Pahlavi's team used to have positions that in Iran that was part of government organizations, right? Which is, I mean, yeah, many people who work in Iran have to work within institutions that are part of the government. That doesn't make them with the government. But even if they were with the government, the fact is that they are not with the government now. I mean, shouldn't we celebrate people leaving, like people who used to be with the government to be now with the against the government? So they keep saying like, oh, they used to be this, used to be that, and actually I don't understand. Well, they used to be, they're not now. And the third thing that they suggest, and again, I think this is really disgusting because Reza Pahlavi really desperately needs both Iranian and foreign support for his team and his plan. And this is so important for us to support Reza Pahlavi for the sake of Iran and Israel. And these people are basically going and spreading lies about this team. The third thing is that this team does not accept criticism. And I know that's a lie because I asked the writers of the article to come to my channel. So, for example, look at this to respond to criticism, and they showed up. So the booklet. This is the main editor, right?
Yeah, I know Saeed.
Okay,
Great guy.
Saeed. He's an awesome guy. So I asked him to come to my channel and respond to criticism, and he did. Okay, so they are shutting down all criticism. And not only did they, can I brag about something, Goldie? I actually, so do you know Arya? Right. So Arya,
yeah.
So Arya Farpuri, by the way, he's a fan of yours. Okay.
Oh.
So Arya Farpuri, he mentioned in this video that one of the criticism he had for the booklet was that they didn't make Reza Pahlavi the commander of all armed forces on day one, and they should include that in the booklet, right? And then going forward, so this was on August 7th, right? And then on August 28th, I basically mentioned that criticism of Arya to Saeed, okay? And then look at this. On September 2025, they actually implemented that into the booklet. So very responsive to criticism. I just want to show you guys that all of those accusations are false, but also be mindful of people who are claiming to be monarchists, but they're actually spreading lies against Prince Reza Pahlavi's team, even though they're acting like they're supporting him.
Right? Yeah, 100%. I mean, first of all, the king made it very clear that the booklet is a first draft, and he invited people to provide their feedback. And that's what we all did. Even I did. Like, I provided my feedback to the booklet, in my areas of expertise, which is, of course, politics and law and governance. I also sent it directly to Saeed Qasimi-Najad, and he said thank you, and we had a quick chat about it. I think that the people. Yeah, no, he's a great guy, right? I mean, I've tried to avoid speaking about this, but now that you brought it up, I'm just going to come out and say it. So I think the people who are criticizing the king's team and criticizing his booklet, there's a few possibilities here.
Attacking.
attacking, not criticizing.
Because they welcome criticism, because the
Of
team is
course.
actually they have a platform for they're
Yes.
receiving the criticism and they're
Constructive
implementing
criticism.
it. But
Yes, constructive
constructive
criticism.
criticism,
But
yes.
I'm talking about
Yes.
attacking, like in that article
Yeah.
you put in, right? Where they're
Yeah.
attacking the king's team. They're saying the booklet itself should be just destroyed and just start from scratch. Like, and by doing that, they're basically attacking the king himself. I think the reason that they're doing this is, there's a few reasons. One, they're either infiltrators, right? We already know that the Islamic Republic spends over $1 billion a year on its like cyber warfare army, right? So, I mean, it literally hires people to operate not just in the social media sphere, but in various networks around the world, whether it's as like an influencer or journalist, a lobbyist or whatever. We've seen it with NIAC, we've seen it with others. So these people could be infiltrators. These people could also maybe not be infiltrators, but they could just be jealous. They could be jealous of the fact that maybe they're not part of the team. I mean, I don't know. And then you have a whole bunch of people who are just, sheep, and they will just follow this narrative and they'll propagate it as well. And for example, I mean, when the criticism comes out that there are certain people, let's say on the king's team, who used to be, part of the Islamic Republic or work for the Islamic Republic, and now, they're working for the king, and they criticize that, they're basically criticizing the king's ability to discern whether or not someone is trustworthy enough to be part of his team, right? And not only that, the fact that King
Yes.
Reza Pahlavi is able to draw people who used to be against him or opposed to him, the fact that he is able now to bring people over onto his side to support him, is that not a good thing? Does that not speak to the power and the strength and the charisma and the legitimacy of King Reza Pahlavi to bring people over and to unite everyone under one flag, which is the flag of Iran, against the Islamic Republic? So, if anything, that speaks to his strength as a leader, and we want more of that. And the king has always said very clearly that this movement to overthrow the Islamic Republic is open and welcome to everyone, as long as you're not a criminal and you don't have blood on your hands, right? So
Yeah.
we need to take that into account. And on top of that, Armin, his team have gone to Israel. Do you think that Israel would actually allow people into their country who are currently affiliated with the Islamic Republic? Absolutely not. So, I mean, that in and of itself should dispel any myth or any fear or any sort of
Right.
rumor that the people who are part of King Reza Pahlavi's team are connected to the Islamic Republic in any way. And it's unfortunate that some people are too simple-minded to see that, because either they're simple-minded or they are part of the Islamic Republic's propaganda network. Or, I mean, these people could also be MEK. We don't know. They could be MEK. But either way, I think at this point right now that we are at, if you are attacking, and I don't mean criticizing, I'm not talking about constructive criticism, because I have criticisms as
Right.
well, and I provided my criticisms. But at this point, if you are attacking the king, if you are attacking his team, if you are questioning their legitimacy, if you are claiming that the king is surrounded by like traitors or whatever other garbage type nonsense, to me, you are an enemy of Iran, because what we need right now is unity. If you are spending more time attacking the king's choices than you are attacking the Islamic Republic, to me, you are part of the Islamic Republic, because the only goal right now is to overthrow the Islamic regime. And these people are doing this, and the media will eat it up, because ultimately the Jerusalem Post is a publication. They want to make money. So for them, publishing opinion pieces like this, because it's controversial, it will gain them clicks, it will gain them followers. And so, of course, you want to write a scathing opinion article, you're going to get media coverage on it, because the media thrives off of that chaos and drama. So I think it's unfortunate, but I think ultimately they are a small group, they're a small minority. And what
Yeah.
we can do, because we are the majority, I think is just, ignore them and just move on and just continue to amplify the message of King Reza Pahlavi and his team. I mean, that's really what I've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know if we should move on because we need to warn people about them as well. Do you
Oh,
agree with that?
100%. Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
yes, okay. Yeah. And by the way, you mentioned that. So this is the main guy. Hold on, the guy that you mentioned, Saeed Qasim. So guys, go follow him. This is basically the right hand man of Prince Reza Pahlavi, and you can see here. Not only it's not just that they went to Israel, but they also met with the highest officials. So as you mentioned, they're obviously not anti-Israeli or anti with the Islamic Republic, or else the highest officials of Israel would not only they're allowed in Israel, but they're meeting with. By the way, this is a recognition of Reza Pahlavi by Israel, given that we have the highest officials. I mean, this is Gila Gamliel,
Gamliel.
which is a Gamliel, which is a minister in Israel, meeting with Saeed Qasim, which is basically official. No other country does this. Like no other country's highest officials are meeting with the. It's not even fair to call them the opposition because they're the revolutionary force against the Islamic Republic. They're far more than opposition because opposition is within a country that it's one party against the party in power. They are not the opposition. They are the revolutionary force against the Islamic Republic, and no other country meets with them like this and like shakes their hand because that would be the recognition of the legitimacy of the revolution against the Islamic Republic. And Israel is the only country that has met with them in such a high level, right? And yeah, so it's insane that at such. By the way, let me actually show you this. This is Reza Pahlavi's team, and when they went to Israel, they went and took a picture under Cyrus Street.
I have a photo as well. With
Yeah,
Cyrus Street.
yeah, that's like you can see the Cyrus basically bonds Iranian people with Israeli people because both Iranians and Israelis revere Cyrus. So look how as soon as they went to Israel,
they actually teach about Cyrus the Great in school in Israel. I think it's part of the education curriculum. Did you know about
oh,
that?
of course they have to. Yeah, of course, because it's in the Bible. Like Cyrus is the only non-Jewish revered person in the Jewish Bible. Like the only holy person that is not Jewish. Yeah. So they have to. It's such a big part of their history. So yeah, I did know that. Yeah. But yeah, so this is the team going there. But also I do think that it's interesting because your categorization of what the sources of all of these people, all of these attacks are, was basically the same categorization of Reza Pahlavi. So they're other basically agents of the regime, but also some of them are jealous. These are people because Reza Pahlavi has picked a team that was not based on who's basically bound down to him or the most, or basically mentioning it. What is chaploosie in English? Or what's the word like when you are basically
Sucking
just
up.
praising somebody?
Yeah, like
Yes,
sucking up.
Yes, yes. So Reza Pahlavi picked his team based on expertise and based on how good they are at their job. But
Yep.
some monarchists are jealous because they think that these people used to not be monarchists or not to be on our side, and they're younger and they are. We have been basically praising King Reza Pahlavi for so many years, and we have been pushed aside. And these, because Prince Reza Pahlavi picks people based on merit, based on a bit of their capabilities, not based on how much you were sucking up to him. And because they're jealous, some of these monarchists, because they're jealous for why they haven't been picked, this is the reason why they're attacking his team. So that's also one reason you see this. So it's not all just the agents of the MEK or Islamic Republic. It's
Yeah, of
also
course. There are going to
some
be
jealous monarchists.
100%. There's going to
Yeah.
be an element of jealousy there. There's going to be, certain people who um,
Yeah.
believe that they should be in power or believe that they should, have some sort of say or control. Ultimately, if you actually truly trust King Reza Pahlavi, and if you view him as the leader
Yes.
of the national uprising, then it
You
is
should.
your responsibility to respect any choice that he makes. I mean, he has even come out so far as to, again, this is where it comes to, politics and reading between the lines. I think, he tweeted a while ago, he put out a tweet, I think it was a few weeks ago, where he was speaking about his team that had gone to Israel. And in his tweet, he specifically said, my delegation, right? He
Yes,
spoke about my team, my delegation.
my
And
delegation.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that tweet or not, but to me that signaled, there he is. Again, he is, because I mean, his team are monitoring social media. They monitor all social media, constantly, because it gives them a feel for sort of the mood and all of that. It's also a good way for them to know what to speak about and what rumors to dispel. So for him to put out a post showing, Saeed Qasimi Nejad and his team in Israel, and then he specifically uses the words "my team," I think that he was directly sending a message and a signal to all these other people to stop attacking his team, to stop attacking the process. And he also spoke about that as well, I believe, in Munich at the Munich conference, which I was present
Yep.
at. He again spoke about his team and his people, and he said, an attack on his team is an attack on him, and that's exactly how it is. And yet, you still have people who are either blinded by jealousy or they're narcissists, and then they're being fueled by the cyber army, right? So you'll have people who put things out there basically doing the work of the Islamic Republic for the Islamic Republic for free, and then the Islamic Republic trolls and the MEK and whatever under the guise of monarchists will go and they'll amplify and boost this message and support them. And I just think it's a shame that there are certain people out there who are just so blinded by these conspiracy theories that they're unable to take a step back and look at the big picture and see what's actually happening.
I found the tweet that you're referring to. Do you
Oh,
want me to?
okay. Yes.
Yeah. Oh. All right. So.
No, I don't think it's that one.
Oh, it is this one here. Okay, here. He's saying این رفتارها و تلاش برای ترسیم چهره. Okay, so همون گونه که همواره تاکید کردم نقد منصفانه و گفتگوی سازنده امری ضروری است و به بهبود مسیر ما کمک میکنه. Like he's saying, here he's saying I always said that so criticism is always good. Basically, that's the summary. اما در مقابل, however, on the other side, trying to destroy this سازمان یافته, this institution that we have built here, all the plans that we have, and also اتهام زنی. What's اتهام زنی in English? Basically, allegation, these false allegations against us.
Just go up and click on the translate post.
Oh, translate, but that's what you meant.
Go up.
Yeah,
just click the blue thing, and it's going to translate. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. I was forgot. So he's saying,
I'm always right, Armin. You're going to learn that very quickly.
Yeah, that's good. He's saying, as I always emphasize, fair criticism and constructive dialogue are essential and help improve our path. However, in contrast, organized destruction, accusations, slander, and instilling distrust against my program. Instilling distrust against my program and my team. So here he clearly saying that these people are my program and my team. And again, I don't know why those monarchists don't see this. He's clearly upset. He's saying instilling distrust against my program and team, even from individuals who consider themselves supporters, is unacceptable, unfair, and unethical action that harms our national unity and collaboration. These behaviors and efforts to portray me as powerless. Yeah, because they're saying, the reason why he's saying this here is because saying like, no, Prince Reza Pahlavi or King Reza Pahlavi, he's good, but the people around him are bad. They have infiltrated. So he's saying like, what are you talking about? Do you think like I cannot control my team? Like, this is like, do you think I'm so powerless and incompetent that I cannot actually control the people who I've chosen on my team? So he says that these behaviors and efforts to portray me as powerless, incompetent, and under influence are an overt insult to my character and to the political judgment of my fellow compatriots. I do not consider such individuals as my supporters, and I firmly condemn their ugly, slanderous, organized, and targeted attacks, which are aimed at diminishing the great success of the National Collaboration Conference, the one in Munich. I continue to stand alongside all those who believe in my leadership, principles, and vision and support them. To those who do not hold such belief, I also recommend finding someone who represents their view and supporting them. With the whole, yeah, so that's basically the part that I wanted to highlight, which he said this is my team and my plan. So
Yeah.
don't try to separate them from me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is very clear.
100%. And the problem that these certain people have is that even though they might not be an agent of the Islamic Republic or the MEK, if they're just doing it because they think they have this crazy conspiracy theory or idea, or they're jealous or whatever, these messages ultimately are being amplified and boosted on social media by the cyberbot army of the Islamic Republic. So these people are caught in a feedback loop, right? It's an echo chamber where they will like put something out there, and then the Islamic Republic or the MEK or whatever, under the guise of monarchist supporters, will support them, right? And then because they're
Right.
being supported, they think that, okay, I have traction, maybe I'm onto something, and then they just continue,
Right.
continue, right? So
Yes, that
again,
makes
I
sense.
think these people are doing the work of the Islamic Republic for them, and to me, I view them as enemies because, again, if you are attacking the people surrounding the king more than the Islamic Republic, that's a big problem because you're essentially saying to the world that you do not believe in the ability of the king to lead. I mean, if you are already questioning his ability to choose his team, what does that say about what you think about his ability to lead a revolution,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's really
Yeah.
shameful behavior on the part of certain people who consider themselves monarchists.
Yeah, I tell them that if you think he's like, don't call him your king if you think he's incapable of choosing his team. You go, don't call him your king. Like, he's our leader, he's not yours. Go find somebody that can actually go call somebody else your leader, because you obviously don't believe him capable enough to pick it. I mean, I think some of these people are, again, that's too nuanced. I'm not going to mention it in my English channel. But anyways, I think I took so much of your time. I don't know. I don't want to continue for longer. But just for the last question, how optimistic are you about the future of Iran?
I'm very, very optimistic. I think the stars are aligning, and
Right.
we don't know when it's going to happen, but we know that it's going to happen for sure. We have a leader in place. We have his team around him. We have the support of Israel and the United States, I believe. The United States, under the Trump administration, I think is very supportive. Happy to talk about that another time because I think their support is more nuanced, but I do believe the support is there. Um, we also are seeing a growing number of military defections within the Islamic Republic. Now, one of the things I want to make very clear is, this is my theory. I've talked about it in Twitter Spaces, but this is my first live stream, so I'm happy to talk about this in the live stream again.
Yeah.
And I see there's 2,400 people who've tuned into my first ever live stream on X, and I want to say thank you. And if you guys are enjoying this, then maybe I'll do more X live streams because this has been a lot of fun. And Armin, you'll definitely have to come and join me, so I'm not like always speaking to
Yeah.
myself.
That's good. Yeah.
But
I'll
yeah,
talk less. I'll talk less next time, I promise, so that you
no,
get to
you know
take
what?
more.
I think I've been talking way more than you, so I'll have to probably talk less. But
No, you're
here's
the
what I
guest.
oh, thank you, appreciate that. Here's how I think it's gonna happen. When you look, when you ask ChatGPT or do research, there has been no no totalitarian dictatorship has been overthrown by people just rising up and going to the streets. It does not happen. The only successful way that totalitarian dictatorships have been overthrown is through a military coup d'etat.
Mm, right.
And this is something you can look into. So I think
Most.
that the revolution is not going to be televised. My personal theory, and again, I could be wrong, it could be right, I don't know. But I think what's going to happen is that at a certain point, when things are in place and ready to go, we're going to wake up one morning and we're going to see the military has taken over the airwaves and they are announcing to the world and to Iranians that the Islamic Republic has been overthrown and Iran is free and people, you can come to the streets. I think that's what we are going to see. And why do I think that? Because a few months ago, when King Reza Pahlavi put out the call for military defections and put out the QR code, his team confirmed that there have been thousands and thousands of scans, over 50,000, I believe, and the number is growing.
Explain what that is. Explain what that is, because many people would don't know.
So a few months ago, back in the summer, I think it was in late June or early July, King Reza Pahlavi put out a call for military defections to people in Iran, and there was a QR code, and basically you signed the QR code and you filled out your information, and you basically pledged to defect from the Islamic Republic and join the people, the Iranian people. And when he put that out, it was a huge campaign. And his team confirmed that they had over 50,000. I think at one point they maybe even said 100,000 defectors. Now, I believe that the number of defections is actually much more than that. The mood of the military is one, like people are just tired. They're tired of the Islamic Republic. And I believe that once the military goes out and makes a stand, I don't think we're going to see any sort of infighting, or I think we're going to see very little infighting. Yes, we're going to see, the Basij paramilitary and, some of those IRGC forces that are very, very sort of entrenched with the Islamic Republic and, there. But the vast majority of Iranians are sick and tired of the way they're living. And we are hearing more and more stories of defections. So, but what's interesting is that since the summer, the king has been very, very silent on those defections. And I think there's a reason for that. I think that there are things happening behind the scenes. I think that there are a lot of moving parts here. And just a few nights ago, there were coordinated, unexplained explosions or gas leaks across Iran. They were happening in Tehran, I believe, in Mashhad, and Tabriz, and Isfahan, and Karaj, and some other places as well. And we have to remember that since the conclusion of the 12-day conflict, there have been unexplained explosions happening across the country. The Islamic Republic is claiming those unexplained explosions are all gas leaks, but I do think there are things happening behind the scenes. So the way that I think the revolution is going to happen is at some point we're going to wake up and it's going to be the military has taken over. And at that point, the people can come out to the streets and basically finish the job. And at that point, I mean, if you're a mullah or if you're with the Islamic Republic in some way, like, good luck to you, because I don't think the Iranian people are going to have any mercy on anyone who is still a part of the Islamic Republic. And the king has made that very clear. I'll just land it here. The king has made it very clear that, right now is the time to defect and join the side of the Iranian people. If you do not defect, if you choose to stay with the Islamic Republic, I cannot guarantee the safety of you or your family, and I cannot guarantee that, your life or your family's life. So he's already let people know that it's now or never. Either you join the side of the Iranian people, or, I can't guarantee your safety.
Well, I hope that happens in the way you mentioned. That sounds like the least bloody way of getting rid of the regime. And when we're talking about a coup d'etat, we have to be very careful. We're talking about people joining Reza Pahlavi.
Yes.
There's another option that we call pustandazi, where the regime tries to pretend that the coup has happened, but it's basically the same people. They just change the painting, but the core is still the same. So
yeah, and
that's why
that's where I think the relationship with Israel is very important as well, because
yes,
that support from Israel. So I I don't think that Israel is going to even allow that to happen. Like, Israel has made
Yeah.
its decision. The United States has made its decision. The Iranian people have made their decision. And what's nice is that the decision made by Israel and United States is based upon what the Iranian people want. And the Iranian people have said that we want our king to return, right? Like, people are going in the streets and
Right.
they're yelling like Javid Shah, which means long live the king. So the
Mhm.
Iranian people have made their choice, and I'm just glad that Israel and the United States are respecting that decision. But I think the revolution,
Mm.
it needs to be internal. It has to come from the Iranian people themselves, and I think that's where the military defections are going to play a really important role.
Yeah, and the test that you guys need to have regarding who is the actual part of the revolution and who is basically the Islamic Republic's attempt of faking a revolution is to do three tests. First of all, you have to check what their viewpoint on Israel is, because if they're anti-Israel, that means that they're not on our side. What their view on Pahlavi is, and what their view on Pahlavi's team and his booklet is, right? These are the tests that you need to have to figure out who's on our side. And by the way, guys, and on our Persian channel, on my Persian channel, I tell people that anybody who's against Israel, anybody who's an enemy of Israel is an enemy of Iran. So this is how we know our enemies on the Iranian side. Any enemy of Israel is an enemy of Iran. Any enemy of Prince Reza Pahlavi is an enemy of Iran. And any enemy of Prince Reza Pahlavi's team is also an enemy of Iran. These are the three checks that we have right now. We used to have this thing called the Qasim check, but that's too old now. We used to check who's on Qasim Soleimani's side or not, to check who's on our side or not. Yeah, that you called it Qasim check. You didn't know? Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of the Qasim check. Oh my god, that's so random.
Yeah. But now now we have these three tests going on. So we have three super chats. I'll go through them really fast. Seymour is saying, "Long live the third feather of Seymour, Reza Shah II." Okay, I've never heard that one before, but thank you.
You don't know the
Danny
story
is
about
saying,
that, Armin?
"No, tell me the third feather."
Oh
Okay,
my
well,
gosh, you don't know the
wow,
okay. Let me find this. Um Here,
the third
I
feather.
wrote about it too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, here, let me send it to you. You can put it, I'll send it to you on WhatsApp, and you can put it up top if you want, so people can follow along. Here, I just sent it to you. So it's based on Iranian mythology and symbolism. So I'm just going to read this. So the Seymour's final feather. Did you get it?
Well, let me bring it.
There we
Yeah.
go. Okay. In Iranian mythology, which predates Islam by thousands of years, there's a famous story about a benevolent and divine bird, the Seymour, similar to the phoenix, and the white-haired orphan she adopts named Zul. In his epic literary work, the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, Ferdowsi, who's the Iranian equivalent of Shakespeare, wrote that when Zul grew up and wanted to say goodbye to the Seymour gave him three feathers and said, "When you are in trouble, set the feathers on fire so that I can come to your aid." Years pass. Then Zul's pregnant wife falls on her deathbed, unable to give birth. The frightened Zul sets fire to the first feather. The Seymour comes to the aid of his wife and child and saves them from death. Zul's son Rustam is born. Towards the end of his life and before his death, Zul gives the two remaining feathers to Rustam so that he can burn them in a time of need. Years pass, and Rustam suffers many wounds in a battle with a hero rival named Ispandiar and despairs over his defeat. So Rustam sets the second feather on fire. So the phoenix gave three feathers, okay? Two of them have been
Yeah.
used at this point. The Seymour is
Oh,
revealed and comes to his aid. After that, there is no more mention of the third feather. Rostam
feather.
didn't set the third feather on fire. There's no mention of anyone else using the third feather anywhere in the Shahnameh. So the rumor is that the third feather survived and was handed down in secret to be used by an Iranian hero in Iran's greatest and most desperate hour of need against the most dangerous and powerful evil to have ever threatened Iran and Iranians. The Seymour's final feather is trending, and many are turning to the Shahnameh to search for any clues about the final feather. So people, so it's symbolic, right? But so that message about what was it, like King Reza Pahlavi and the third and final feather, that's what they're referring to, because people are saying that King Reza Pahlavi like is sort of represents the Iranian hero. You have goosebumps now, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I have
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah, so people, so it's very symbolic and it's very hopeful. So the third feather is being burned right now against, I believe, the greatest evil that Iran has ever faced. There you go. So that's what the
That was
comment is
so
about.
beautiful. That was so beautiful. Wow. I like that. Yeah. Okay. See, I was never raised to in an environment where the Shahnameh. I'm not as familiar with the Iranian. I mean, I think the Islamic Republic made me not get involved in Iranian poetry as much because it was always about passing grades, and so. But I feel like I missed a really rich culture. Like this is something that I wish I was more familiar with. Like Iranian poetry is such a rich culture, and I see why so many Iranian people are so invested in it. But yeah, I'm gonna mention that story many times now, forever. That's beautiful. I'm gonna do a whole live stream about it. Anyway, I don't know
You
how
should.
to move on from that. I'm gonna do the the other super chats. It's really hard to. Okay, so Daniel was saying, if only Iran had Jesus and IRGC didn't kill believers. Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, I think I'm not a Christian, so I think you're saying that as a Christian, but I see why you would say that as a Christian.
I mean,
And
Christianity
also
is one of the fastest growing religions in Iran right now. Christianity and Zoroastrianism are two of the fastest growing religions in
nuns
Iran.
is the fastest growing
Well,
demographic.
atheism first, like agnosticism and atheism is like the biggest one.
Well, not atheism, nuns. So as an atheist, I'm not biased to say atheists are the fastest growing. Nuns means people who believe in God, but they don't have any religion.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the biggest
that's
hitter.
that's the
Yeah,
biggest. But after that, it would be
yeah,
Christianity and then
atheist.
Zoroastrianism. Yeah. But I
Okay, yeah.
would say the vast majority of Iranians are either a-religious or like
Irreli-
they're agnostic or atheist, I would say.
Yes. So I think number one is people who believe in God but don't have a religion, and I think us atheists are number two, and I think like maybe Christians come number three. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then Delta was saying, will they recognize Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank? So, do you think the future government of Iran would recognize Israel's sovereignty over the West Bank?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah, I think.
I can't comment on that, but I mean, if I was part of the government, I would say absolutely, because I think um, ultimately, I mean, if you look at the history, like, I mean, I think we said this in an earlier space. You and I were talking about Israel, like Judea and Samaria has always been a part of Israel, and so I mean, if Israel was going to take it back, I mean, I have no issues with that.
Yeah, yeah. I can't speak for the. I'm pretty sure they would recognize Israel and have normalized relationships with them and be their allies. I can
Yeah,
like I think like we could almost guarantee that. As an Iranian myself, I recognize Israel's sovereignty over both Gaza and the West Bank, but I cannot speak on behalf of the future government in Iran. I mean,
yeah,
as a political activist myself in the future of Iran, I would be advocating for that. But obviously, we cannot speak on behalf of what's going to happen in the
yeah.
future,
That's
right?
just
Of
my
Iran. Yeah.
personal opinion as like an individual.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, Goldie, I don't need to promote your channel, but I'm gonna do it anyways because your
Thank you.
channel is like your X account is already massive, but I'm not doing it for as a favor to you. I'm doing this as a favor to my audience, to go and follow your X account. Oh, hold on, wrong, this one, guys. Please go follow Goldie.
Oh, thank you.
As you could, yeah, please go follow her and support her. You could see how valuable her insights are. So do yourself a favor and go follow her. The link is also in the description. And again, Goldie, sorry I took more of your time than I promised, but I was just having so much fun. You were amazing.
Not at all. This was
So
great, and I know I appreciate being here, and thank you for we should definitely do this again. I enjoy having these conversations.
you have about 3,000 people watching you, 2,800
Really?
people watching you on X right now. Yes,
Wow.
3,800. This is
I
crazy.
should have started lives earlier. I never actually thought that I
Yeah,
would get this many, because usually when I just do an X space, I have like, maybe 100 to 300 people who join the space. Um, I've never like the only time that I've had like 2,000 or like 3,000 people in a space is when it was, in the height of like the war, the conflict between
right.
Israel and Iran. When I was doing like X spaces, there would be like somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000, sometimes 3,000, 4,000. But I've never had this many people. I don't usually have this many people, so maybe I'll just do lives more often. But then that means I have to like,
Yeah.
sit in front of the camera, and then if I need a coffee break or something, what do I do? But we'll see. But maybe I'll do these lives more often.
Well, I could be your co-host so that when you need to go, I will just keep talking so you could go and do whatever you need while you're not on camera.
I
Just have
love
me as
that.
your
Okay.
co-host.
I
Okay,
will
okay.
definitely, I'll do that. Oh, for sure. I'd love
Okay,
that if you
sounds
have
good.
the time.
Uh,
Great.
And we could make it more chill so that you don't have to like. I feel like the more you do it, the more it's relaxed it's going to be. Like we could basically like it doesn't have to be like a show every time. It could be chill. We could just engage with the audience, and yeah. So it takes less energy if we're more chill about it. All
I
right.
like that.
So
Well,
guys,
I see some of the people who follow me, they're like, do more lives together. So I guess they
yeah.
like the conversations. So there we
Okay,
go.
sounds good. We'll
Okay.
do that. And we'll do more audience engagement in the future. Like we'll actually
Yeah.
respond to the people in the chat. We'll actually we will tell people to ask their questions and we will just respond to their questions. We'll do that in the future. Okay. All right, guys. So like the stream on YouTube and go follow Goldie. And I'm gonna have another stream for you guys on the same channel on YouTube in about 20 minutes or so. So I'm gonna be covering Netanyahu's speech in the UN. So just
That was a
look
good one.
forward to that. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay. I'm gonna end the stream, guys. Okay, so say it with me in the chat. I'm Israel Chai, Javi Shah. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Don't go anywhere.